Hi, here again. Yesterday I told you I'd show you how I edit now. This is pretty much how I do it. It's a very high-end editing system called an Avid Media Composer. It's hooked up to a big network. We have a lot of storage in the middle of a server room down the hall. It's not something I'll be using for class, but it's a fairly nice application. You can go through things pretty quickly. We do a lot of work on this. A lot of the stuff that you'll be seeing that's a little more presentable, I probably will have done using this system as opposed to the system on the tablet. How I'm editing now, how I'm shooting now, is actually just with an iPad, which for me is incredibly frustrating because it's not a professional tool. But it's a tool. The Avid Media Composer was developed about 25 years ago. It was the first really practical, large-scale editing tool that used digital media as opposed to film or tape. It was a major breakthrough when it came out. The company is still making stuff. One of the things they make, as well as Pro Tools, which is a big sound editing, sound production software application. And it's still a big leader in the world of media. Now, digital is different from the analog stuff that Hitchcock was working in. It's really not faster as much as people would like to think it's faster. I think that this is something you'll probably note with some of the applications that you use for other things. People only think so fast. What the tool allows you to do is use that time more effectively to maybe do some more elaborate products and do some finishing touches and do some elaboration that you probably wouldn't have done otherwise. What I mean by that is that while it takes about as long to edit a film now as it did 30 years ago or 40 years ago, you were able to do more intricate things with soundtracks, you're able to do more intricate things with effects. But anytime you get people together working, it just takes time. And, you can't really think that much quicker than you did 30 years ago. Your brain has not evolved. The technology has. The project I'm doing now is actually one of the things I was telling you about. This particular piece is not on Robert De Niro. This one is actually on some executives at the Bank of New York. One of these guys here, this guy actually kind of saved the world economy. He's a big banker. He's a retired banker. But doing this 30 years ago, we'd have it all on tape, and we just wouldn't be able to do as nice things. There's some stuff we did a few years ago that is pretty exciting. And let's see if I can actually get it up. Let's see. This is a project we did about a year ago, and it's on the New York Stock Exchange. That's a clip. And here's another one. So we'll just start playing that a little bit. We actually showed this at the New York Stock Exchange.
The stock exchange started over 200 years ago, a block or two away from here, when a bunch of traders got together and wrote what's called the Buttonwood Agreement, and they decided they were going to get together and trade various goods.
We have history, and that is one of the reasons we have trust and integrity in our systems.
In fact, if you turn on the news...
Okay, so edited that. Let's move a little closer. Let's see if we can see what's going on there. But you can actually see this clip on YouTube. But
every night, whether it's good news or bad news about the financial markets, you'll see our facade. So clearly, symbolically...
To make a long story short, when you're editing, you're actually using something called a timeline and two different monitors. Now, what's the difference between this system and what you'll be using? You'll be using a more primitive version of this type of editing technology in the class. To get back to Benjamin, though, because we're going to be talking about Benjamin tomorrow, he talks about mechanical reproduction. This is no longer a mechanical reproduction. This is something else. This is digital reproduction. There are definite changes there. There's definite impacts there, which we really have to try to drill down to by the end of the semester. Because, like I said, we're talking about Alfred Hitchcock and Psycho, but we're using that as a filter to try to discuss things that are happening later on in our own time. This would have been very expensive to do 30 years ago. This would have been a project that probably would have been budgeted for about $15,000 or $20,000. So while it takes about as long to make right now, we can do a lot of things here with less money, less resources, and we can do it in-house. Also, more people will probably see this on YouTube than will see it in a live event. We only had maybe 150, 200 people see it on the stock exchange floor. Right now, you're going to be able to look at it, and it's the kind of thing where that's new, that's different. It's also something where once it's on the internet, it kind of has a life of its own. It can be used, repurposed, whatever. So this is how I work now. Let's see if it makes sense to you. We have the monitor for bin, we have the monitor for editing, and then we have the monitor for work. And it's different. So we'll be meeting tomorrow morning for the teleconference. I'll be in my apartment. I promise not to be wearing pajamas. I'll at least be well dressed from the waist up. And we'll talk. But good luck tonight. And I'm going to post this video in the Wall Street video as well.